Hi, welcome back to C programming, and today I am going to cover up functions. So, we will start with functions. You know that any program can be defined as a set of instructions for doing a particular task. So, that is a general definition for any program. But if somebody asks what is a C program, so then C program can be defined in the same way. If you define in the same way, so then what is the difference between a program, a general program written in any other language, and a C program? Of course, internally it is one and the same, but to be really frank with any C program, C program is a collection of functions. So, I will show you so how it can be defined as a collection of function. So, what I do is I will show you. So, in the system, so that it is a opening screen, and we have main over here, and then when I type something, so main is the main function. So, you know that this is the only one function which actually tells you that the code what you are looking at is the C program. If main is not there in your C program, so probably you can say that it is not a C program at all. So, then it is really necessary to have this main, because main has this particular special status in C, because C compiler understand that. So, wherever the main is, so it has to start there. So, that means the beginning of the execution of the C program starts at main. So, what I do is I will simply type say printf and then welcome to C programming. Okay. And then if I put one more function, and before that I would like to put clear screen. If I compile and run this, you can see that welcome to C programming on the screen. So, go back to editor. If you look at, so there are 4 functions over here. So, one is main function, and you know that the C always starts there, and then it enters into the body of the program, and there are 3 more functions. So, one is clear screen, other one is printf, and then get ch. So, these are all actually library function which will be inside this stdio.h. So, that is why we add this header file, which is a library of function, set of function, and it is actually supplied along with the turbo C. When you purchase turbo C, it will be the library of these functions. So, the file which contains all those things will be .h or .lib. So, they will be actually given. .h always will have the prototype in that. So, that means I am going to use this clear screen, I am going to use printf statement, I am going to use make use of this get cs, like that. So, all those prototypes will be available in the header files, and probably the expansion and the definition, all those things will be done when you link your C program to run that create an exe file. Anyway, so what I would like to tell is, so if you look at here, so of course this is the parameter that it is handling. Printf is much more than that. Other than that, so if you see clear screen and printf and get ch, etc., along with the main, these are all collection of functions. So, that is why I said, so C can be defined as a collection of functions. So, C program can be defined as collection of function, and what it does actually, clear screen will clear the screen, and then printf will actually whatever that is being typed within 2 double quotes. So, of course, along with the escape sequences, it understands what to do when it encounters such characters. So, any string can be printed onto the screen. So, that is what the job defined for printf statement. So, printf does only that, it will not be able to receive something from the keyboard. For that you know that there is a scanf function. So, that means every function has got a predefined functionality attached to it. So, what will be there inside that function? So, there will be a set of statement which will enable the function to deliver whatever it is made up of, made for. So, that means, so even in real world we are we have to rely upon many people. So, for doing lot of things, for example, if there is a problem with the water pipeline, so then we have to call somebody called plumber. So, if there is a electrical problem, we have to call electrician. So, and if we are not feeling well, then we have to go to doctor. So, everybody will have their own function attached to their job. So, that means they have to do their job. So, that is their requirement. So, similarly here also functions are also very similar to the real world. So, every function will be doing only an intended task. So, that means you can use only for example, clear screen. So, we will have a job to clear the screen, and get ch always will be able to read a character from the keyboard. So, similarly get s, so we will be able to read a string from the keyboard, like that. So, that means it is a stream of characters. So, we have already understood it in the previous class. So, that means every function will have a predefined task meant for it. So, it has to deliver that. So, then there are lot of functions which are very popular, very commonly being used by any programmer. All those are put together, and they have supplied so as a library, a set of library which are very common. But what if I want to find out, for example, I want to find out the square of a number. So, there is no such thing, but there is another function called power. So, which anything can be raised to any other power being an integer, but always indirectly you can make use of it, but there is no squaring function. Suppose if you want to develop a squaring function, you can always do that. Suppose I want to have my own for example, welcome, always I would like to have a function, my own function to welcome somebody for this program. So, it is possible to have that. So, let us try to understand what is this function, and then how to make use of library function, what are all different kinds of library functions available, then how to define our own user defined function. So, all such things are very important in learning C programming. So, when I say that so only there is a main function. So, if I compile and run, I have already shown you that this program will do nothing except start and stop. So, that means who is actually running this main program? This main program is always run by or executed by the operating system. Of course, CPU is the finally, but there is no mathematical statement or logical statement. So, it will not be given to CPU, because operating system will take care of this start and stop, nothing more than that. So, what if, so I want to have my own user defined function. You have seen that printf. So, I wrote printf say hello world now, hello world, and this program, this function is actually printing something on the screen, correct. So, this is what it is doing, but instead of that, what I want to do is I want to write my own function which can actually does the same thing. So, it means outputting something onto the screen. So, then what I do is, so I have to, whenever I want to do that, I want to have my own function, and then I have to define that. Okay. Say I want to call it as display. So, here is a function called display. I want to print something using this display. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. So, how to do that? You have to type that name and indicate that open and closing parenthesis, indicate that it is a user defined function, and it has no return data type. Anyway, I will tell you, whenever you deal with function, you need to know what is the return data type. Here also main, I am not using any return data type right now, but still it works, no problem with the Turbo C compiler. And sometimes you know that you are going to use void. So, indicating that void is also a data type which occupies nothing in the memory, but it is, the meaning of that is it is returning nothing. So, for example, when parents look after their children, they do not expect anything. So, that means children are not returning anything back to parents, that is what it means. So, main is like parent. So, it is not getting anything, and even main, so is not returning anything to the operating system, who is like a god. Okay. So, here also, when it is, whenever I type the function name, user defined or library, whatever it is, and terminated by a semicolon. So, we say this is called as calling a function. So, that means for example, I want somebody to do my job at home. So, then I can have a servant. So, when I call a servant, so the servant will come and do something. So, that is called as calling a function. Similarly, I am having a servant called display. who actually this function will do the printing. So, whatever I type within double quote should be sent to the output screen. So, that is the function, okay, the job of the function display. But whenever I call a function, I should have predefined. So, like we do for the servant. So, you have to do only this much, you have to wash clothes, you have to sweep and then clean the house, like that. So, only one function for you can have a one servant for one function, that is the rule in the C programming. So, display means only it can display. Of course, you can write whatever you want inside that. So, some big complex functions you can create where it will be doing further subtasks. For example, prepare food. When you say prepare food, so preparation of food always needs a lot of other things to, you have to have vegetables, you have to have your cooking utensils, and then you have to have stove, etc., etc. So, these are all the requirement. So, if you, but main aim is to prepare food. So, like that, when you say display, it has to display. So, that means calling this function is done by like this. This is called as calling function. So, what I do is I will comment over here. So, this is called as calling, okay, calling the function, and then when I call, so it will, the control will be transferred wherever it has been defined. So, that means you have to tell the function, so you have to do like this, these are all the tasks. So, then where I have to define, always I have to define outside the main function, that is very vital. So, you can't define within the main itself, because so whatever main is doing that will be within the braces, opening and closing braces. So, if you are calling somebody else or some other function, then that function should have been outside, okay. So, what I do is I say void, that means this function is not going to return anything, that is return data type. So, display DISP, and then there will be a body of statement, that means what all it should do. So, within that it should be mentioned what it should do. Now, actually I can make use of this, I can put this function over here. So, again I am actually accessing the library function, because writing the function for sending everything character by character and defining the rules, all those things will be really tough task. You can make use of library function, but you can do lot of function, you are writing your own and ordering in a different fashion. So, and build up a logical sequence of doing that. So, definitely we can do. So, that means finally we are going to utilize only library function, but we write our own thing. So, to do a particular task. So, now what is happening? So, I am calling display. So, that means the control will be transferred over here wherever it is defined. So, and it enters, the control enters into that display function, and it finds a library function which is already being defined how to do when you are given with a string of characters like hello world. So, it understand. So, because it has been defined and we have included stdio.h which has got a prototype in that. So, that means, so there is no problem, this program actually should work. So, I save this and then compile, and there is an error. So, what is that? Type mismatch in redeclaration of display. Okay. So, let me see what is the problem. So, that means it is giving error, because what is happening, I have not told this main function. So, that means I am going to call this function. When I call this function, so control will be transferred here, and I am making use of those things, but I have not told main that. So, I am going to use this particular function void over here. That means this is called declaration. Before you do that, you can also inside any parameters are there, then you can do that. So, let me save this and then recompile. Now, you can see that. So, what is what have we learnt over here? You see that whenever I call any function, so I should have the definition, what that means what it should do, but before I call any function, I should have declared. So, that means there are three important things to remember whenever you use or whenever you write your own function. So, that means the function must be declared and telling the compiler that I am going to use this function, so somewhere in the program. So, and then what I am trying to do is I am calling this function which is user defined function written by me for doing a particular stuff. So, I am calling somewhere from the main. So, it means at least one function must be called within the main function. So, that is the task, I mean that is the requirement. So, if you are trying to call from outside, so probably it will never work, because so main is started, and if it finds n number of statement, it gets executed, and it will never go out of this, because at the end of the main, if it has no function or no statements to execute, so it gets terminated. But putting this function outside this, we will not have any task to do. So, there is no reference over here. So, that is why a function must be declared before main. That means, so any user defined should be before main, it should happen, and then at least one function should call should be called within the main function. Now, so what I do is I actually compile and then run, and then you see that hello world is being displayed. Let me make use of another over here in the main itself. So, main itself will call, and then what I do is I will put get ch over here. So, I will show you how this actually program will work. So, when the program is compiled and it is executed, so the start of the program happens at main, it enters into this body, it finds the first function called clear screen, and when it does its function, because it knows what to do, it clears the screen, then goes over here the next statement, that is display, and so that means I am calling over here. So, the control will be transferred to outside the main. So, it is like calling the servant who is outside. So, come here, do this task. So, when the control goes there, so display understands what to do. So, because it has been predefined over here, this is the definition. So, that means do this printf, means print hello world. So, it does its function and then returns the control back. But actually there should be what is called as return statement. So, this is another keyword which actually returns, even if you do not write over here like this, control will be automatically transferred, nothing to worry, but it is better to use this return. So, why? Because always you have to return, you have to make sure that control is returned back. Suppose if you want to return something value, so you can put that value over here, sorry, put that value over here. So, that means value can be returned. So, value can be inside a variable. So, anything that you can return it back to main function, because who is calling this display? Main is calling, main is the master over here. Okay. So, main is calling. So, then somebody may ask, is display can call some other function? Yes, you can see already it is calling a library function. So, library function will does this, and it will return the control back to display, and the next statement is return. So, whenever it encounters return, so it will return a value, but here we are not returning anything. So, I do not write anything over here. So, simply return will do. So, let me save this and then and run this. So, what is happening? So, why the cursor is blinking there? It is waiting for a keystroke, because get character is in activation. So, get character is waiting for a keystroke. So, when I press a key on the keyboard, so automatically what it does is it receives a key, and what it does with that key? Nothing, because I have not told anything to do that. So, after that, so there are no statements, that means it has come to the end of the main function. So, control now will be returned back. Here also sometimes we say so return, you know that. So, but we write something over here. So, we say return 0. So, when I say return 0, no, who is calling main over here? I agree that when display is called by main, it has to return back to main. So, then I am starting main over here and I am writing return over here. So, that means there is a statement called return, and it is returning something called 0. It can be even anything else, but right now I am returning 0. So, who is calling then? Because every program is an application, you know that, and this application can be executed only with the help of an operating system. If there is no operating system in your system, then in no way there is no way in this world you can execute any application without the help of operating system. So, that is very important. It is like trying to study something as a course in a college where there is no staff or administration like that. It is impossible. So, it is not just the building or the benches, so where you can sit and study. So, then it is not called as an institution. So, to exist to be existed there. So, in this world you need to have a system which is called as an administration, maybe academic, maybe official, etc., etc. So, very similar to that. So, this main is actually called by operating system. Operating system is the one which is in charge of running the application. So, in a system. So, it has to return, when it returns 0. So, 0 electronically speaking 0 has something different meaning, some other meaning called false. Okay. So, true is always indicated by 1, but if you put 1 here it is totally different. If you put 0, that is what required over here. So, then what is the meaning of 0 and 1? 0 means successfully executed. So, if it returns main returns 0 to the operating system, that means I have successfully completed my course or my function, all that is there in as a code, I have executed that. So, you can take it back. So, then operating system will be very happy to see 0, but we are not happy if we see 0 in as a mark, so in an examination. But anyway, successfully completed here in C programming is always 0. So, nothing to worry. 0 is also very important. Is actually given away by Indians to the world, and just imagine the world. So, we use computers, we use laptops, we use mobiles, we use tabs. So, we use so many devices in this world, and without that it is very difficult to live, and all these devices are digital in nature. And when you say digital, fundamentally speaking they are working only with ones and zeros. If you just remove 0, so then all these zeros will these systems will come to crash landing. So, that is why 0 is very vital. So, only 0 should be ahead of some value, then it assumes a lot of significance. It is like 1 followed by 10 zeros. If that is your bank balance, you will be very happy, but putting all those zeros behind 1 will not have any value. So, 0 will be very significant when it works with others. So, similarly even in life also, when we work, we have to work with somebody else. So, then we gain significance. If we work alone, probably we may not be significant, and whatever we do will not be very significant in this life. Anyway, so I hope you have understood this simple program. So, how to create a function and make use of it, that is what we call as user defined function. Here I have defined a function, declared a function called display over here, because I have to do so. Void is the return data type. So, this can be sometimes even say int. So, that means it is going to return an integer data type, that is what I mean. So, void and then display, but there are no parameters normally. So, here it can be say int, or even if you type say void. So, typing void inside the parenthesis indicate that. So, the data it can handle is void data type, that is what the meaning. Suppose if I type int and then comma integer. So, there are 2 parameters that it can be handled, that means I can handle only 2 parameters. So, list can be anything like this, that means it can handle int. Suppose if I type char over here, it can handle both integer as well as character, but the order also should be very important, that means this, excuse me. So, these are the 2 parameters that it can handle right now. Anyway, I am not if you leave it blank, that means it is not having any parameter to handle. So, it can simply does whatever it is told to do. So, I am calling over here, calling is done by writing the name of the function and putting a semicolon at the end, but you can always have a return value from that. If it returns anything, then it can be returned over, it can be taken over by any variable called x like this. So, I will show you with a better example. What I do is, I will write now a program in a general mode without using any library function. So, then how to convert that using our own library user defined function. So, let me write that program. So, what I do is I will delete this. So, I make use of the existing, I am not interested in even this. Okay. So, I will declare two variables x and y along with z, okay. And then I assign x is equal to 20 and y is equal to say 10 like this, and then I calculate z by adding these x plus y. I am adding these two numbers, and next what I do is okay. So, and then I try to print sum of percentage d and percentage d is percentage d. So, I put the variables over here which will take care of printing all those values, taking it from the memory, and then I stop the screen for the moment, then let me save this. So, this is a very simple program, there is nothing great about this program, but I just want to use this program because see, whenever you want to understand a complex topic, you have to always split that complex topic into smaller entities, so that you can handle these smaller entities and try to understand bit by bit. So, when you can understand bit by bit, there will be bytes of information which you can actually understand and digest. So, let me compile this and then run this. So, sum of 20 and 10 is 30. So, it is very easy and everybody knows how to write it. Now, what I do is I give this 20 and 10, give it to somebody else, and I do not know how to sum it. So, please do the summation for me. This is what I am going to do. So, that means I can make use of a user defined function. So, what I do is I will take this, instead of this I know that x is okay. So, let me have this some other value, say x is 10 and then y is equal to say 5. Okay. I have these two numbers with me. Now, I just make use of another user defined function. I am naming it as sum, or if you want to name with a better name called add. So, add these two numbers. So, then I can call add. So, that means I am calling this, but when I call this I have already told you that it has to be declared over here, but sometimes if it is very simple you need not declare it, but let me try without declaring, because whenever you get error you will understand that okay, you have to do this kind of stuff like this. Then somewhere I have to write add, the definition of add, and it should consist a body of the statement, correct, right. So, what this should do, this should actually receive. So, then how do I send the value x and y, so that it can sum up and then give the sum to me, back to me. So, then I have to pass these two values. What are those two values? X comma y, correct. So, that means, so you can simply say that x and y should be sent. But what is the data type of this? These data type will be integer, but I should have actually declared before I mean use this. So, that means I have to mention over here. So, I am going to use add, and then it can handle data, two data, integer and integer. So, it can be even floating point number, it can be double, or it can be something else like character, etc. But right now I am using only integer. So, I am passing this x and y. When I pass this, so see what happens. Okay. So, I would like to block this, control KB, control KK is blocking. I would like to print it over here, correct. So, it can print only after finding out the sum. So, then to sum up, before it can actually do its duty, it has to receive. So, here you are passing, but there must be somebody to receive this. So, I call this A comma B. Okay. So, probably this may pose errors, may not pose errors. So, we will see when I have A and B, I need to have something, some other variable where it can store I mean sum of these two numbers, or I can make use of that directly. So, anyway, here itself I can type, we are not using x comma y comma z, I say a comma b comma and then a plus b, here itself I can type, and then it will return anyway, control will be returned even if you do not mention over here. So, let me save this. So, just look at the program, I have not declared anything. So, let me try without declaring, because simple programs may not need declaration anyway. So, I need only x and y, not even z. Let me remove it. By removing, what I am doing is I am actually freeing 2 bytes of memory. So, which I can always make use for some other job. So, x is assigned with 10 and y is assigned with 10, and this x and y is passed to the calling function. What is this calling function? This is the called function. Who is calling? Main is calling. I am calling this add. Okay. So, from main. So, control will be transferred over here, and these values x and y will be received with a and b. I will tell you what is x and y, what is a and b. So, here this a and b are called as formal parameters. These are called as formal parameters. And what about these x and y? These x and y are called as actual parameters. Okay. So, we are whenever we call a function, we can pass the values, they are called as actual parameters, and whenever we receive, I mean whenever a function receives, so actual parameters, there will not be really actual parameter, it is a copy of actual parameters. So, if all the parameters that are received by a function for doing its job, it is called as formal parameters. So, a and b are formal parameters and x and y are actual parameters. So, once it receives, so I am trying to directly, I am not using any other variable to sum up and to save it in a memory, I am directly printing a and b, the sum of it is so a plus b, like that. So, let me compile, if I get error, no, I am not getting. So, that means it is not, for a small program like this, it is not even necessary. So, and let me run it, and you can see that I am getting the output right. So, what do you mean by that? So, that means, so this function is working fine. So, instead of writing my own making use of library function, I am writing my own function add. So, it is called as, but I will tell you what are all the things, how to declare this function in a better fashion. So, the better fashion is, so I am not returning anything, right. So, it is like whenever you pass the values, so you may not get any values, you simply give it away. So, it is like making some contribution to some society. So, give it away, but do not expect anything in return. So, this function main is calling add function and giving some values to it, and it is forgetting about it. So, what it does is it sums up those two numbers and then returns nothing. But suppose if you expect something, nowadays parents always expect something, teachers always expect something out of students. That means when I teach, so you should pass in distinction, you should get a rank, like that, always expectation is high. But what actual parameters we are going to pass is also very important to students, because in return we can expect better things. So, that means, so whenever we pass something, so we can also get back. So, that means how to make that. So, here also I will make some changes, just observe. I can say that when two integers are summed up, so the result also will be an integer. So, that means I have to get an integer, that is the return data type, and then what is the function name? Add, and I am declaring here what are the two parameters I am handling, what is the data type. So, that will be int and then int. So, that means these are the two integers I am handling, right. So, I have to clearly mention what is the return data type and then what are the data type of parameters it is going to handle. Okay. So, this is okay. When I pass it over here, So, it has to get, I mean things are defined over here. So, A should not be character or A should not be floating point number. So, then it should be int only, that means int A is the data type of A and it is an integer even B. So, it means both A and B are integers over here. So, that is what we have to clearly mention. And now if you try to compile, there is no problem at all and then it will work fine, right. So, instead of doing this, if I want to sum up over here, I need another variable, say for example C, which is an integer, obviously it has to be integer. So, I can say that C is equal to A plus B, right. So, I am doing my summation over here, where whatever you give I will sum up and I have to tell back. Sometimes parents especially in village side, parents will not be educated and the children will be studying some school. So, they say they normally they ask the children to come and then add all these things numbers, so and then tell me what is the total amount that we have saved for this year. So, then what children do, they will sum up and then they will tell back. So, this is what the total amount we are having as a bank balance, like that, something like that. So, then they will count and then sum up and then give it back. So, it is very similar over here. So, the parent is giving x and y and the children are doing summation, and after summing up the answer is C. So, it should return back. So, that means I have to say return and then say C, whatever it is. So, then this need not be over here, it can be over here. So, parent has to receive. So, that means now printf will be here, but before I print sum of so and so is, so here I cannot use A and B, I have to use only x and y because I passed only x and y, and here whatever I receive should be of something different. So, I will call it as z over here, but where is z? I have not declared z over here. So, then z must be here, I have to receive that. So, lot of things goes into this program now, and whenever what I give is x and y, when I return, so it will return C as the value, I have to store it somewhere. So, I have to note it down. So, where do I note down? So, I have to note down in Z and then I can make use of over here. So, now the program is pretty okay with this. So, let me save this and then compile and then run. Now, you can see that 10 and 15 is 15, right. So, suppose if you want to enter any two values for this, so you can always write a scanf statement and okay, let me read it from keyboard for you. Enter x and y and use scanf statement because it is a standard input statement from the keyboard, whatever you want to receive, and then it should go to x, memory of x and memory of y, right. So, save this and then run it. So, now we can enter whatever value, say 1 and then 2, sum of 1 and 2 is 3. Now, the program is so flexible that you can enter anything what you want, but always there is a limit. 100 and 200 is, suppose somebody wants something else, say 234 and then 432. So, it is 666. So, it is giving, it is working fine. So, it is wonderful to understand this kind of user defined function. So, I will recap once again what all the issues with the functions. That means, whenever you want to create your own user defined function, what is the necessity, because all functions are not available within the library function, that is the scenario. When you do not have, you have to do whatever you want. Suppose everything is available at hotel, you can go and eat, but if it is not available, then you have to cook on your own. That is the reality. So, you have to do that. So, I am doing over here, I am simply summing up. I think always you have to keep it very simple. So, when you keep it very simple, you will understand everything. So, there is a saying in design. So, normally design of every domain, whether it is design in mechanical or civil or electrical or even computer science and electronics. So, whenever the designers always talk about this particular code, keep it simple and stupid. So, sometimes stupidity always will indicate that you can be a better person. So, in thinking, sometimes even in real life we see that some people we tell that see he is so stupid, she is so stupid, like that, but at the end of the day, see, we are actually real stupids and they are not so. It is like that. So, that means this program is seems to be very stupid and simple, but let it be, try to understand it, and when you understand even a stupid program, so probably you will be a better intelligent person. So, I am declaring 3 variables x, y, z. So, I need 2 values, I mean 2 variables to store my value whatever I entered through keyboard. I am doing so using printf and scanf over here, and then I am passing the parameter to a function, user defined function called add x and y. So, when I do so, only right hand side will be evaluated first, and whatever it gets the value in return, so will be stored in the z. So, that is what happens. So, when I call this function, so the control will be transferred over here. So, which is actually here also you can actually say int add. So, there is nothing wrong in it. And then so it receives these 2 values from x and y by a and b. That means in memory a and b are 2 different memory location, and x and y are 2 different memory locations. That means they are not one and the same. So, a copy of x and y value will be passed on to a and b. So, it is like storing something in your own container, so at your home, like that. So, when you store, so you are asked to sum up over here. For that we need c as another variable. So, and c is equal to a plus b will do the thing, and then after summing up, every function has to return it. Here I am not returning not simply a control, but even along with the control I am returning a value, which I found out just now over here. So, this function will do. So, there ends the job of the add function, and entirely it will be removed from the memory. So, that means, so it does not examine a, b, c, all are not exist in the memory. That actually I can show you, if I find time, definitely I will show it to you in the next class. And when it returns, so value from c, and then that will be collected over by another variable called z. So, the next statement is very obvious, you are trying to print over here. So, the sum of so and so is that. So, x and y is whatever you enter, and the sum of those 2 numbers will be printed with the help of z. So, and then getchar or getch will wait for your next keystroke. So, that is how the output screen is shown. I hope this program is really wonderful. Now, I would like to talk something about in a general way. For example, we have understood that C program is a collection of programs. So, collection of functions. So, it can be one or more. If there is no other function, so then if there is only one function, that it has to be main. So, without main you cannot call that code as a C, right. So, then at least one function should be called from the main. That means main is the starting point, and the control can be given back to main. So, like for example, if we are living in a house and we go to college, we go to office, like that, we leave main, that means we leave our house for doing lot of jobs. When we get out of main, when we get out of house, so we go to post office, we go to bus stand, so we may go to even hotel for having breakfast, and then attending college, then we move from one class to another class, so to listen to somebody's lecture, and then after doing so, when the college is over, so we have to go back to bus stand, and then probably on the way we go to market, we buy something, lot of functions we do in real life. Similarly, but at the end of the day, so should we be there on the road or we never return back to home? We have to get back to home. So, that means always after doing all these things, so finally the control has to be back to main. So, and then so there ends the function, or there ends the program. So, that is how the program works. So, one can call, you may call in between your friend, and then you may go to a movie, like that. So, that means any function can call any other function, but main has to call the triggering the function, it has to trigger at only one location. So, that means why this function? Because we can make our program modular, structured. so that if there is a problem with any function we can easily identify and debug it, or if we do not want that function we can simply delete that functionality by deleting the calling the respective statements. So, all these things are very very important. So, it can even become very compact. So, that is why functions are very very important. So, I hope you have understood. So, to make that if I think there is still 3 minutes time. So, I will quickly write another program to show you that anything can call any other thing. For example, main. So, let me go for traveling on a tour. Okay. So, how to do that? What I do is I would like to go to Italy to see. So, where from, I mean Sonia is from Italy. So, let me see how Italy is there, because Italy is very popular for monuments. So, I am calling Italy. So, I am not declaring anywhere, but you can simply call here. Whenever I call, you know that I have to define it. So, I have to define Italy. So, what it does? You can say a simple statement, I am in Italy now. Okay. So, let me, if you want really declare that is not returning anything, you can simply say that void Italy like this, and then compile. What is that error? Mismatch in redeclaration. Okay. I have to tell void over here. Okay. All right. See? Okay, let me clear screen, because the previous things are also there, and also write over get ch over here. So, I am in Italy now, but before I went to Italy, so I want to indicate that I am from basically I am from India. Okay. Now, you see what happens. I am from India, I am in Italy now. Okay. Now, I would like to show that from Italy I would like to go to Brazil. So, Brazil I have not declared, I have to declare Brazil over here. Okay. And then I have to define over here. So, another printf statement indicating that now in Brazil the football country. Okay. Right, save this and then compile this. So, I am in India, I am from India and I am in Italy now, now in Brazil, the football country. But I would like to show that the control is always returned back to, you can see here I am calling Italy from main, and Italy is calling Brazil, and Brazil is doing its job, and after that I would like to show that Brazil is returning something back to, not to main, but who is calling Brazil? Italy. So, I would like to tell that control is back from Brazil. Yeah, like this. See. So, I am from India, I am in Italy, and then now Brazil. So, control is back from Brazil, that means you are back to Italy, and Italy will return back the control to main. So, I am back in India like that. So, this is what I mean the way the control is transferred from one function to another function. So, then finally it ends up there in the main. So, anyway it is goodbye from here. So, thank you for watching this program, and until next class it is goodbye from Mahadevaya over here. Thank you all.